Today it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Sandy.
That'd be me.
In Honduras, or she's visiting us. Would you like to come up and give
Oh,
your-
I guess I would do that. Thank you. This I don't know if you've got it set so it just automatically advances, but and each slide kind of has its own little message, but I will yak on anyway. This is just my thank you so very much introductory slide. This little girl is now 15 years old. She's one of my 5 godchildren. In Honduras, she's bilingual now. I speak to her in English. We write back and forth in English. It's really quite amazing. All of
You tell me
the
just
family run.
when's it?
Oh, so it's not gonna, okay, sure, you're probably ready to go. And I started in Peace Corps in '98, so this is my 25th year. I go every year for a couple months minimum, sometimes quite a bit longer than that, but I'll be going in January and working on the kids that we've got lined up to be processed to either come to the States or get surgery in Honduras. But it's not about me, it's about all my team in Honduras, which does the work all year long. I talked to Marinel yesterday, and we're trying to get a child in a very, very remote location to school. And we've started a fund, and yep, we can move on. So this is Jose. Unfortunately, his dad there on the right died before I met Jose. I met Jose because he was on a television ad. Parents in Honduras are amazing. Like parents everywhere. They just search out solutions for their kids. You will see when you see the video of him how impaired he is with a deformed leg. And she went on television. They stand on street corners with signs saying, is there anybody that has any interest in helping my child? And then a friend of mine that's on my team saw that and, okay, we can go on, and introduced me to him. Now, if you click it again, maybe it'll move. Or click on the picture.
Sandy, ¿qué te gusta hacer? Camina despacio, pues venga.
You see
¿Te gusta? ¿Cómo se
the
llaman esos
spirit of
colores?
this kid who's not going to be held back because
¿El
he's
color
got to
amarillo?
figure out a way to
¿Y
adapt
este qué color es?
to this leg.
¿Es verde?
He's going to go to Shriners in St. Louis, Missouri in the next couple of months. And seems to be very healthy in all other aspects, so I expect they'll be able to make some progress with him. This will show you, if you click on it, I think it'll move. Yeah. But he was a little bit younger, but yeah, initially after seeing this TV ad, I contacted some doctors I knew were coming to Honduras, orthopedics actually, and they immediately referred him to Shriners, which has taken about a year because he needs to leave the country to go to Shriners, and just like in this country, you can't leave the country, at least late, you know, in the last few years, you can't leave the country without permission of both parents with one of the kids. And so we needed to get a death certificate for the father, which took a year to get. His foot moves if you click on that slide. One of my goals is always to make sure that the part that we're trying to help works. You know, I mean, if unfortunately it didn't, you know, that would be a different scenario. He's just an adorable kid, and the mother has just been wonderful. Okay, just another little shot of him. I work with Shriners. It really takes 3 organizations to send a child to the States. I've probably sent 100 kids to the States now. It takes someone like me that's interested in doing it in the country, and it takes a nonprofit in the United States, which in my case is World Pediatric Project, and a hospital that's willing to sign off and say they'll do the surgery at always no cost to the American taxpayer. Shriners is not supported by our income taxes. Okay, so they'll be going to St. Louis in the next few months, I hope. They're very, very happy. If you know, yeah. And so the other big project that I've had for years is I managed to attract a group of foot surgeons, podiatrists actually, but they're incredibly talented. And they were going to El Salvador and Mexico when I met them. The strangest things happened to me in my Peace Corps experience. When I came home in 2000, the head of this organization, I found out, lived in the community I lived in. I mean, it's just like things were just dropped in my lap. So I managed to convince them to come to Honduras, but they left for 3 years with COVID, and now they're coming back. And we have a team of volunteers that interview them and process them to make it easier for the surgeons to evaluate the physical problem. I pick up a lot of kids, and one of them is coming up on the next slide, with other problems because, like I mentioned, Honduran parents are amazing. If you hear a medical brigade and you have no money, you have no access to anything, although they have great medicine in Honduras, just not for poor kids, they bring them. And so I pick up kids with other issues. This one was operated, as you can see, both feet for deformed feet, and he's not too happy. But he'll never know what it's like to walk on a deformed feet. His parents are amazing. And next slide, please. This is the boy I was telling you about. He had that picture of his leg was taken when he was about 4, because that's when I met him. And they'd already attempted a couple of surgeries because it's a disease of the tibia, and the tibia will not support any weight. So when these kids that are about 1 year old try to stand, the tibia breaks, and it will not heal. So when I met him at 4, he'd been living in a cast and on crutches for 4 years. I have 3 cases like him. You know, again, just kind of fell in my lap, and I don't know really what I'm doing, but I know where to ask questions. And Shriners can treat this, and they have saved him. He now walks without crutches or a cast. He did break his leg once, but that's because the Honduran doctor, with all good intentions, decided to take the rod out of his tibia that the Shriners had put in. And I wish they had asked first, but anyway, he had to go back to the States and get that fixed. But now he lives in a beautiful area outside the community I live in, which is about 4,000 feet above Tegucigalpa, and they raise all kinds of vegetables. And one of the just unexpected things that happens in what I do is now about every month, this giant basket of vegetables arrives at Marico's front door. You know, whether I'm there or not. Tangerines, cabbage, lettuce, carrots, all of just beautiful quality. A lot of it exported. And these are the collection of the kind of kids that we get when I do have a brigade. That little cleft lip child is, the whole story of cleft lip and palate surgery in Honduras is pretty amazing, because when I started 25 years ago, I used to schlep kids to the north coast about 6 hours away. I'd find 15, 20 of them in the country. Some of them 36 years old that had teeth growing in all directions and these horribly ugly, by our standards, maybe some cultures would think that wasn't, but he certainly, people don't like it, so I would bring them to these little groups of surgeons that would come from Stanford, UCLA, just to operate on cleft lips. Well, if you've never heard of Operation Smile, and if you ever get the chance to watch an infomercial of theirs, that's Smile, not Smile Train, although Smile Train's a good story too, but Smile is an amazing nonprofit. Their infomercials are worth watching because everything they say is true. Romy, I'm reminded of her by your name, because who's the Irish actress that used to play in Touched by an Angel? She's their infomercial speaker. Roma, I think is her last name. She's married to a big producer in Malibu right now. But anyway, if that little foot's, yeah. And so those are the kind of parents and kids, and they'll stay for hours, for days. Just to get seen. Okay, next slide. I don't know. Oh, well, and then at the end I couldn't help. My favorite pastime, that bird on the upper left, people come from all over the world to see. I'm not even sure what, I was too lazy to find the name of it and put it in. And, but these others are common birds that we see all the time. They're just beautiful. That's a Serikeki on the right, just brilliantly blue, and looks like he's got a tuxedo on all the time. And they're just wonderful. And then I think there's 1 or 2 more slides. There's actually a mistake on this slide. I spent about, I don't know how many months it takes from eggs to babies leaving the nest, but this bird nested 2 blocks from where I live in this little town, so I'd go over there every day until I got that, adorable picture of the two of them sticking their heads out. And there's one name mistake on this photo. Does anybody speak Spanish? That bird in the lower left, that white-naped brushfinch, is the one above it.
No.
And the zombie is a vulture. I have a wonderful niece that's been doing these things for me for years, but she has a big job and she runs out of patience and she wouldn't change it for me. She lives in Connecticut. I said, oh, Sandy, make a joke out of it or something. So anyway, that I thought was pretty funny. And then the last slide is my typical view where I live. This is about 30 minutes up above Tegucigalpa. We're at about 4,000 feet. And that's where the Peace Corps training site was, where I first went in '98. And I've been going back every year since. And now we live with the same family, have the same room. My toothbrush is in the same place. And always a whole ton of roses there when I get there. And they grow coffee. They're a lower middle class family, hardworking family, but very, very committed to educating their children. Both their kids have masters. And all the godchildren, because that's all they spend their money on, is education and food, housing, all their and go to bilingual schools that are going to, it's an amazing story. And Peace Corps had a lot to do with that. A lot of the families in this little town, because Peace Corps was there maybe 40 years, will tell me, you know, the educational level of this town went up tremendously just because Peace Corps used paid families here to host. And they didn't pay them much, maybe a couple $100 a month. But oh my goodness, what attentive hosts they were. So that's it, and I appreciate your help all these years, and do you have any questions?
Well, before, where's Howard? Before questions, we have a little announcement.
Yeah.
Involving me, or should I sit
Ask me to
down?
make this
Go
announcement.
to the front, go to the front, Howard. You're killing Dick in the camera.
I'm told, our club really respects and appreciates your dedication to
cry.
this project. It's been going on for 2 decades now.
25.
Yeah. So our
Amazing to me.
Our World Community Service Committee met yesterday by Zoom, and we unanimously approved a donation towards your project, $500 donation.
Oh, thank you so very, very much.
Thank you
Yeah.
for all you do.
Oh, well, you're so welcome. It's been a gift for me. I don't know how to get away from it, to tell you the truth. And they're just going to have to carry me away from it, I'm afraid. But that $500, just so you know, will pay for the visa for the mother and the son of this little child to go discuss for surgery. I'll give you an update next year.
Great.
Thank you so